Camillus de Lellis was not born a saint. He was born angry, restless, and addicted to self-destruction. His story is not a fairy tale. It's a collision of suffering, grace, and the radical mercy of God. He entered the world in 1550 in the Kingdom of Naples, Italy. His mother died when he was young. His father was a mercenary, absent and harsh. Camillus inherited that restlessness. As a teenager, he followed in his father's footsteps and became a soldier. But his battles weren't just on the battlefield. He had a burning addiction to gambling, a vice that consumed him, drained his money, ruined his relationships, and eventually left him destitute. Wounded in a skirmish, he developed a chronic leg wound that would never fully heal. It was this wound, painful and humiliating, that ironically opened the door to his redemption. Seeking help, he was admitted to a hospital, but instead of comfort, he found neglect. Patients were treated like burdens. Nurses were indifferent or even cruel. Camillus saw it all, and it pierced him. Something began to change. He realized that he had spent his life taking pleasure, taking money, taking chances. But what if he gave? What if he gave his life to something more? He tried to join a religious order, but they rejected him. His past was too wild, his wound too serious. But God wasn't finished with Camillus. He took work at San Giacomo Hospital in Rome. There, day after day, he washed patients, changed dressings, endured the filth and stench, and slowly began to heal, not his leg, but his soul. God's grace broke through in the humility of service. He confessed often. He prayed more. He began to think not just about healing bodies, but saving souls. And a new fire was lit in him, to serve the sick with love, dignity, and reverence. Camillus wanted more. He went back to school, studied theology with difficulty. He was nearly illiterate, but he persevered and was ordained a priest. Then he did something revolutionary. He founded the Order of Clerks Regular, Ministers of the Infirm, better known as the Camillians. Their mission was radical for the time, to care for the sick as if they were Christ himself. Not with cold professionalism, but with heartfelt tenderness. Not just as nurses, but as spiritual companions. They wore a red cross on their habit, a bold sign in a world still learning what love and suffering really looked like. Camillus led his brothers into hospitals, into homes, onto battlefields, and even into plague zones. When others fled from disease, they walked straight into it. He taught his men to look patients in the eye, to speak with kindness, to recognize the dignity of every soul, even in dying bodies. And all the while, he remained a man of profound humility. He never fully healed from his leg wound. He often suffered depression and spiritual dryness. But he leaned on prayer, on the sacraments, and on love. He believed that every suffering soul was a chance to touch Christ. Camillus died in 1614, exhausted but full of peace. His legacy didn't end. The Camillian order grew, and today they serve in dozens of countries. He was declared a saint in 1746 and later named patron of hospitals, nurses, and the sick. But his story remains startlingly relevant. Camillus shows us that holiness is not about perfection. It's about direction. He fell, again and again, but he kept getting up. He let God into the ugliest corners of his life. He didn't wait to become pure to serve. He was transformed by serving. To the addicted, he says, "Your story is not over." To the sick and dying, you are not forgotten. To those burned out by caregiving, your love matters. And to the rest of us, trapped in comfort, afraid of sacrifice, he shows what it means to live a life poured out. Saint Camillus did not walk an easy road, but he turned his pain into a path for others. A wounded man who became a healer, a lost soul who became a saint, a gambler who bet everything and found heaven. Saint Camillus de Lellis, pray for us.